So one interesting thing about this particular episode of the podcast is one thing we're going to do something new is Tyler and I are going to do a couple of tier lists. So for those listening on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, whatever, I would highly recommend that you also jump over to YouTube and check out the video format because I'm going to pull it up on my computer and we're going to share my screen so you can actually see what we're arguing about and what we're discussing. So I'm going to do that now because we're going to have some hot takes and it's going to be pretty fun. So
And I will go ahead and admit that I might not use names because there are a lot of starters, or there are a lot of people on the there's a lot. This is a long list, so I might not use names.
Let's see if it will pull it up for us. Let me know if you can see it.
All right. Yep. Looks like it just pulled up.
All right, perfect. So for those listening, again, you're going to have to kind of, and we'll kind of talk about what we're doing as we go as well, so you can also follow along. But it's going to be a much better experience if you go watch it on trying to get this in view. Can you see all the starters?
Yes, I can.
All right, sweet. So we're going to kind of run through these. Instead of me doing my normal spiel where I kind of summarize the conversation and I ask these 10 questions that I normally do, instead we're just going to throw together a couple tier lists because this is a lot of fun and it's something that I've been excited about doing just because I like Pokemon. Tyler likes Pokemon. So we're going to rank some starters and then we're going to rank the games, like the main series of games. And that'll be kind of where we tie it up. So let's see how long it takes. So I think we need to establish a couple ground rules about ranking these starters. So for one thing, we need some categories for how to rank them. And I was thinking design could be a category. Nostalgia could be a category. And then like competitive value could be a category. So like how good is the Pokemon, like with typing and moveset, how nostalgic is the Pokemon, and then how good is its design. So we have tiers. We have S would be like God tier or better. And then everything down to D would just mean that they're bad. So I'm going to let you go first. What do you want to grab and where do you want to place it?
All right. I'll go ahead and put, so this rank is just like an overall of like that's the three, kind of variables that were taken into account is just their stats and design. And
yeah, so basically you're going to decide based on those three categories, like how nostalgic is it, how good is it competitively, and we're not just talking about the Pokemon, we're talking about the entire family. So we're talking about Squirtle, we're talking about everything up to Blastoise, right?
I got you. All right. First thing I'll grab is I might butcher the name. Is it? I don't even want to say the name. Just the fox on the bottom. Let me look up the name. Finnegan. I was literally going to say Finnegan, but I was like, I'm going to sound like an idiot. Okay, yeah, Finnegan. Yeah. So I played through X with Finnegan, and in term it's strong, but the last design was like rough in my opinion. Like it borderlines like making a Pokemon almost look like a human. Yeah. Like it was standing up on two legs and whatnot. So I'll have to put that at like, I'd say a C. I'd say a C because that last design was like rough. It was rough, man.
I'm not going to argue too much because for me, when I think Finnegan, Braixen, and I don't even remember what the final Evo is called. It's the witch. It's like a witch fox.
Yeah, exactly.
But for me, it's like it's a glass cannon. It's got really high attack stat. I have zero nostalgia for this Pokemon because I did not watch the X and Y anime at all. And then everyone loves Braixen, but I just design wise, I don't like it at all. Like I don't like very much about it. I don't like the color scheme. I don't like the family of Evos. So C is totally fine for me. And if you played through X or Y with it, then feel free to grab that.
Yeah, I mean, nah, like C is where it needs to be because like the fur coming out of the ears doesn't even really make sense. Like, I mean, I don't know. I played through X with this, but I have no connection to the Pokemon itself.
All right, I'll go next. So I'm
All
gonna
right.
grab one that I don't want any argument or hate toward because this is one of my
Okay.
personal all time favorites. So I'm gonna
Okay.
grab Mudkip, and I'm going straight to S tier with Mudkip. So reasoning for this is because Mudkip was my first starter, not my favorite
Hmm.
starter, but my first starter when I got Pokemon Ruby. Um, from a competitive standpoint, Water Ground is a great typing. You know, it's got
Yes.
one
Yeah.
weakness, which is Grass. And then I love the design. It's a mudfish. Why would you not be in love with this thing? It's the cutest starter of all time.
Hmm.
I would be flexible and I would be okay to move it to A should you petition, but that's my ranking.
I gotta say I agree with S because I probably wouldn't if I didn't play through Alpha Sapphire with
Mm,
Mudkip, but I never played through Ruby and Sapphire, the original ones, until I was much older. So Alpha Sapphire was my first consumption of Gen 3,
mm.
and yeah, I picked Mudkip, Mega Evolution Swampert, and just wiped through the game. Was done with it. Like it was easy. Yeah, I won't even deny.
Sweet. All right, what do you want? Where is it going?
All right. All right. Let's choose Tepig. I just don't know where he's going.
Okay.
Um,
Going Gen
Tepig.
5.
Yep. So I've played through with Tepig and I like him, but the design does get a little silly. I'm not gonna lie. I think I think the second and third Evo is a little silly looking and too too big. Like the third Evo is too big for a starter in my opinion. Um, but it is insanely strong. Fire and fighting. I believe that it had two typings
Mhm,
in that final Evo. So I'll due to the design of its evolutions, the first evolution is fine. It looks amazing.
mhm.
But due to the design of the second and third, I'll have to put it at B, but that doesn't mean that it's not a strong starter.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when I think about Tepig because when I played Gen 5, I also chose Tepig.
Hmm.
Imbor is a pretty good Pokemon. It just lacks speed, it's just really slow. But firefighting is a really good offensive typing. And the thing that bothers me is they just did firefighting 3 times in a row, which was frustrating. Um, but from a design standpoint and from his typing, his moveset, I do think he's decent. Um, I would be fine with B, I think, too, for
Yeah.
Tepig, even though generally I do like fire types a lot. We have 2 fire types that are very meh or worse, so have to pick it up at some point. But yeah, I would say that's fine for him. So if I'm gonna go next, I'm gonna go for a bad one because you already did one that was kind of on the lower side. I have to
Yeah.
do it to Chespin. Poor Chespin. I'm putting Chespin in D, and I am flexible on this. I hate all 3 of the like Chespin and the 2 evolutions. Typing is
Hmm.
grass fighting when he evolves, which what are you thinking? When flying types destroy him,
Hmm.
um, and just like no nostalgia. Like I don't care. He's just there. I think Chespin is the worst starter. Hot take, but he's the worst starter.
Yeah, I remember. I though I don't think he's down there. He's down there. So I remember seeing his third evolution. I was like, oh God, what did they do? Um, so I won't. I think he deserves to stay down there. I don't know. He looked like what? And most Pokemon resemble something. What is he trying to resemble? That's what I'm just now noticing is what is he trying to resemble?
I think it's a chipmunk. I think it's some type of
Oh, okay,
squirrel or,
okay.
or some type of rodent. Because when he
Hmm.
evolves into Chestnut, he has a big shell and he's like a kind of
Oh,
like
okay.
some type of rodent creature. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I look at it, I'm like, what is this? My brain doesn't know what to do with it. So
Yeah. Yeah, so moving on to the next one. Um, will I want to do uh let's go to Gen 2. So I haven't played too much of Gen 2, I'll be honest. Um, I think I've beaten it possibly once,
mhm.
but I know the grass type is really rough. for Gen 2, from what I've heard. So I remember picking Totodile, and he was pretty cool. I liked watching him follow me around in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I just don't remember like attack stats wise, but for nostalgia purposes, I'll put him at like B because I'm not gonna lie, the third evolution, like the arms on it, look really weird.
So you Totodile, right?
Yes, Totodile.
Okay. So yeah, so when I play Gen 2, Totodile is the one that I pick.
Hmm.
Competitively, he's far better than either of the other two,
Oh,
in my
really?
opinion. Like,
Hmm.
Chikorita is just a support role Pokemon, and especially
Hmm.
from a single player experience, is just bad. Design wise too, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Cyndaquil is way more offensive, way more like as far as stats go, Cyndaquil is very good, but
Hmm.
design like it's just a giant rat with fires, coming out of its back.
Hmm.
So I mean, the reason that I would put Totodile in A over B is because I think Totodile is just greatly superior to the other two. But I'm
Hmm.
also fine with B just because the speed stat's pretty bad. And Gen 2 was a pretty weak offering of starters, from the beginning.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard, but I really won't fight you on moving up to A because, as I said, I really didn't know much about stats in terms of Gen 2
Mhm.
because I've only played through it once. But I remember the Cyndaquil design for Legends Arceus looked pretty damn goofy because they like took the fire off his back and it was just one long like blob.
Yeah, so I guess we'll have to play it kind of fun with Oshawott and Cyndaquil and Rowlet because they really have two different variations with Legends Arceus.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So, but yeah, no, I think that's fine. I like Totodile at A.
Mhm.
I would have been fine with B as well, but just the only reason I think he's ranked really highly is because he's just far better than the other two.
Y- Yeah, in terms of stats, definitely.
So I'm gonna throw another hot take, and I'll let you argue your way on these, so you can make changes as needed. I'm going
Okay.
to I'm going to throw everything that's from Gen 1 into S tier. Um, and this is why. So like
Uh-huh.
Nintendo does this weird thing with these three. Nintendo
Hmm.
puts them in every game. They give them every new mechanic, all the
That's true.
Mega Evolutions, all the Gigantamaxes, all the Z-moves, everything. They give them all the forms. They give them the coolest. They have the coolest design, the coolest evolution.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know that any of them are better than the other two, even though Charmander's better. And I don't know that any of them are better than the other two. Um, so like I don't know, like for me, just thinking about Gen 1 and how nostalgic it is and the anime and the way that Nintendo like shoves these down our throats so much, I can
Yes.
only put those three in S tier, but I'm definitely flexible on moving two of them. So
Okay, okay. So I do gotta admit, I feel like if Charmander, if you don't like him at least a lot, you're a bad
Mm.
person because like you got to like there's no way you can't
Yeah.
because they and not only did they give him every form, they gave him two mega evolutions. I
Oh
won't forget
yeah.
about that. They gave him two. He's that special. So I definitely think he obviously stays in S tier. I think Mega Charizard X, like he just made Gen 6 very easy for me.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, and uh, I mean, I've never been a huge fan of Squirtle. Nothing wrong with his design. It's just me as a person, like probably playing through Gen 1 games, I know that is Bulbasaur not like the most ideal starter?
So,
Am I
I
mistaken
mean,
on that?
if you're thinking about like a starter, whenever you're starting red and blue, Bulbasaur is the best for the first three gyms because he
Hmm.
beats Brock and Misty really easily, and he has a pretty big advantage over Lieutenant Surge. By the time you get to Erica, you've probably built a more well balanced team, so it's not as big a deal.
Yeah.
Charmander's definitely got the hardest path. Charmander doesn't excel against any of those first three. And then
Hmm.
appropriately, Squirtle is the most balanced. So Bulbasaur is kind of
Gotcha.
like it's easiest to evolve, easiest to level up, easiest to beat the gyms with. I think generally people like Bulbasaur the least, maybe question mark. But I'm not
Yeah.
sure about that. I think they're all exceptional.
Definitely. I think we can keep them in S tier, solely because, like you said, like you don't even have to play through a Gen 1 game to have nostalgic values with these characters, like I mean with these Pokemon, because like I mean you gotta know them all. Like
Hmm.
I've played through with Bulbasaur and Charmander both probably equal amount of times, and had a thorough time and like I love both their designs and Squirtle. I just really don't have an opinion. I know Blastoise is pretty beefy and whatnot, and he's always pretty good. So yeah, I
I
have
mean,
nothing wrong with the design.
I'd be fine to move Squirtle to A. So if you prefer that, like Squirtle's my least favorite of the three, so I'd be fine to move
Hmm.
Squirtle to A. And maybe
I
maybe
mean,
we finish the list and then come back to it. But I mean, I would be fine with that.
yeah, I mean he can stay up there for now because I do like his evolution like because it's obscenely like simplistic, but in a good way.
Mhm.
Because it's just like turtle, bigger turtle, and another bigger turtle. Like it's nothing crazy like
Yeah,
the fox, like Finnegan, nothing like that. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and move to the next one, I presume.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, feel free to group them together too. We can speed it up just a little bit just to make sure we kind of get through all of
yeah, of
them
course,
relatively quickly.
sounds good. So I'll group. I'll put like two or three up at a time. So going back to Gen 3,
Hmm.
I'll go ahead and put Torchic. I think he is uh pretty A tier for me. I mean, his Mega Evolution is really cool and it almost made me say S,
Hmm.
but I mean, his his third evolution doesn't look super goofy or anything. It looks pretty badass, but I mean, A just seems like it fits Torchic better, in my opinion, because his second evolution looks whack. I remember that. His second evolution looks whack. I will not remember that. Yeah, so Trico, um, I mean, I never really played through with him much. Is he, in terms of stats, like in comparison to other Gen 3 starters, what is he? Is he like shitty compared to them?
So just so for Gen 3, when it comes to stats, you have Mudkip, who's kind of like your tank. It's kind of built kind of like
Yeah.
Venusaur was. Torchic, the problem with Torchic was the speed stat. It was a good speed tier, but just not high enough to be extremely competitive. But so what
Hmm.
Nintendo did was like, all right, we're going to give him a Mega Evolution and give him speed boost. So it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
with Trico, he's a glass cannon because he's really fast, but also the defense stats are pretty low. And when he mega evolved, he also gained the dragon typing, so he became 4 times weak to ice. So
Oh,
that hurt him quite
yeah.
a bit on the defensive side.
Yeah, I mean, as I've never played through with Trico, I know every time I've encountered him, I don't believe I've ever lost. So, pretty forgettable starter, I guess. I mean, I'd put him in B tier. Um, the dragon typing is unique in my opinion, like dragon and grass. I thought it was pretty cool that they went that way. Uh, and I remember his Mega Evolution design looking pretty good.
I mean, so as far as these two go, I'm okay with this. Trico is definitely I prefer Trico to Torchic because I don't like chickens. Like he looks like a chicken. Um,
Yeah,
And like
true.
Combuskin looks really bad. Not we're not gonna slide over that one. Combuskin looked really bad.
Uh-huh.
Blaziken kind of turns it around, and he was the first like firefighting like dual type with fire and fighting. So
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely think Mega Blaziken kind of saves him though. Mega Blaziken kind of carries that line for me.
exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
I'm
I
okay with this. I think that Trico being in B is okay. I don't think he's horrible, but I don't think he's like super rememberable.
hmm
So I'm going to skip over Gen 4 because I'd like for you to take those. Because
Okay.
I'm very biased when it comes to Gen 4, and you probably are too, since that's our favorite gen.
Sounds
I'm going
good.
to go up to Gen 7 to the Sun and Moon kiddos. And
Okay.
this is my feeling. So I would have Rowlet here. I would have
hmm
Litten. I would have Litten. Oh, he's kind of a hard one. Um, So for the listeners, I put Rowlet in S. I'm putting Litten in B, and I'm putting Poplio in D. So this is why. Rowlet,
Mm-hmm.
love the design. He's an owl. He's super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Decid UI is a ghost type, which is extremely unique.
That's
Really
true.
slow, but I don't knock him for being slow. Like he does really good at what he does well. Um, Litten is really cool. Like as soon as I saw Litten, I was like, all right, this is it. This is the one. But then as soon as I saw Incineroar, I was like, this is not the one. So
Mm-hmm.
for Incineroar alone, I give him a B. Even though competitively Incineroar is one of the best Pokemon of all time, I still hate the design. And
Uh,
Popplio just really gets swamped by the other two. Like, I mean, I like the fairy typing, that's cool, but um, the design's bad. The moveset is meh. The stats, he's not fast. Like, it's just a bulky. He's a worse version of Milotic, in my opinion. So that's
mhm.
that's my feeling on them. But feel free to move those around.
I mean, if there was a place for me to put them, because as you know, like I just recently this past year played through Gen, what is it? Yeah, Gen 7 because
Mhm.
I never played through Sun or Moon on initial launch. So I mean, I definitely agree with those after playing through it once and playing no competitive. Like I'm not playing competitive or anything. Rowlet's evolutions are, you know, not simplistic, but they're consistent in the fact that like it's an owl. It's an owl to the end, and yeah, I mean, I think his third evolution looks pretty dope, and um, Ghost, like you said, Ghost and Grass was like an insane typing, and
Mhm.
yeah, the Poplio is that's the correct pronunciation, right?
Yeah, the little
Yeah,
like the little clownfish looking guy, the little circus
yeah,
guy.
yeah. So as you said, he definitely got shadowed, and I would have never chosen him. They like this wasn't a balanced design. Like for Gen 1, you're equally torn between all three, but for
Mm,
these, it's like nope, not that one.
yeah.
So it's like, yeah, definitely D tier for him. And then Litten, I I didn't play through. I didn't play through with him. I think I played through with Rowlet.
Hmm.
Um, But yeah, like you said, the third evolution's design, like he stands up on two legs, he gets really large, like not it for me really. Like
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
hate to do that because I know people love Incineroar and he's so important competitively, but I can't do it. I'm sorry. Like next time they
yeah.
take a cute cat and they put him on 2 feet, I'm quitting.
Yeah, and that's what they did with Finnegan. It's on all fours, and then they put it on 2 feet. So yeah. Um I'll go ahead and do the Gen 4 starters,
Okay.
I presume. All right, so I think Chimchar needs to go in S because he's like the most valuable fire type in Gen 4.
Oh yeah.
Because you can't really get much else. Firefighting typing, so it was overpowered at least for me. I'm not sure if I was grinding too much or whatnot, but I mean he was a great starter whenever I played through the game. I didn't choose him for Brilliant Diamond, but I did for, you know, my initial playthrough on the DS. Turtwig, I am going to have to put Turtwig at mm, I think an S. I mean, I think the third evolution is outstanding in my opinion. It looks great. I I think I was able to beat um the gym league, like the Pokemon League, I mean, with with him and his earthquake, and I was able to go through the first time. I didn't have to like repeatedly try at the Pokemon League. Like my
Hmm.
team was already pretty well balanced, and like his earthquake was just, you know, really clutching up. Um, in regards to my matches. So I'm gonna leave him at S because I think his third evolution is really cool. How the trees grow off his back and whatnot. Piplup though, um, I'll have to put at a B because I don't like the Empoleon design. Um, I mean, it looks classy. I think they did really good at balancing it out, and I'm
Hmm.
sure, whatever his stats may be, great if they're exponentially like outstanding, then I definitely think he could be moved up to A. But just based off that kind of nostalgia factor and the design, essentially, I'm going to put him at a B. But of course, that's me not knowing specifics in regards to stats because I'm only familiar with Chimchar and Turtwig.
Yeah, so just in response to this, I'm happy, and even while you're saying this, I'm almost wanting to move Rowlet down to A. And the
Hmm.
reason being is because I think all of these are better than Rowlet. I would almost do
That's
this
true.
and put Rowlet at the front of A.
That's
It would
true.
actually be this order, like Rowlet, Turtle, Torchic. And
Hmm.
so for me, Piplup, I'm okay with A or B. So when people talk about their favorite starters of all time, they talk about Gen 1, they talk about, Gen 3, like the really nostalgic ones. For me, the closest thing to the Gen 1, like godlike designs would be Gen 4. All
Yeah.
three of these I think are really, really strong. So I'm happy to put all of them as high as we can.
Hmm.
Who are you if you're playing through Diamond and Pearl with a Ponyta? Like, you chose Chimchar every time because there's like three fire types in that
Exactly.
game. But
Exactly.
Turtwig would have been a really huge, a really huge commodity other than like grass and ground being four times weak to ice was
Hmm.
really the only thing that kind of hurt him because there's a whole part of that game where you're like battling ice types at the end.
Yes. Yes.
So,
You're
so I mean, the only thing, I mean, I could see Piplup being an A because I think Water Steel is just a really great defensive
right.
typing, but I'm also really happy with him at B just because not that memorable for me or nostalgic.
Yeah.
And these two are appropriately placed, I think.
And like as we go through the list, Turtwig may move down probably because I mean, like you said, I'd kind of forgotten about that. What was it, the sixth or seventh gym that's ice type,
Yeah.
and he's like essentially unusable. Um, whereas, I mean, Infernape is pretty consistent without he can, throughout. I mean, like he can take it and dish it out.
And anyone who says that Infernape is not superior to Blaziken is just lying. So everyone should
Yeah,
be on high alert that Infernape is better than Blaziken.
by far, by far.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and kind of tie up a couple of these. I'm going to kind of go out of left field here and grab these new boys. We only thing we have to go off of here is design because the game hasn't
Hmm.
come out yet. So
Hmm.
just based on design, I think that Quaxley has a really cool design, but I'm going to throw him in B because I don't have high hopes for the evolution line. I think it's supposed to
Yeah.
be water fighting. I mean, that's the prediction that it's going to be water fighting. So that's kind of neat, but at the same time, I don't love this Pokemon. This thing is supposed to be grass dark, I believe, or at least that's the speculation. And if it's grass dark and if it stays on all fours, it should be here. But
Hmm.
if it becomes bipedal, then it should be here. So I'm just going to throw them
Yeah.
in A for now, tentatively because it's cute. And
Hmm.
then Fuecoco, I'm putting an S because it's like part apple, part dinosaur, part ghost. Like it's just the coolest thing that Pokemon's given us in a while.
Yeah, and they haven't released his final evolution design, have they?
No, we haven't seen the final
Yeah,
Evos officially. It's speculation that it's going to be Fire Ghost, Grass Dark, and Water Fighting.
gotcha. Yeah, I mean that grass type for the new gen definitely does look pretty admirable, for lack of a better term.
Mm,
It looks pretty like the one I would choose, I presume. And but yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I really want to stop judging who I choose based off how they look in the end, because that's like essentially how I've done it my entire life.
yeah.
So I don't want to look at the final Evos, but I know I'm going to get spoiled because there's nothing I can do about it. They're going to pop up somewhere. But I want to make my decision without having seen them.
Yeah. So do you feel pretty good about that ranking?
Yeah, I mean, going off of just what we know, I definitely agree with it. And I feel like this could go one or two ways. They could stay where they are when the game comes out, or on launch date, they could possibly multiple of them can move to D,
Yeah.
just depending on design. So yeah.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
this is one of those situations where Nintendo could really mess these up very easily.
Yeah, they definitely could. Especially the duck, Quaxley, is that what it was?
Yeah,
I
Quaxley.
mean, yeah, I don't see that looking cool. I don't know. We'll have to see. Um,
I'm gonna make a prediction that 70% of Quaxley players are gonna name him Donald.
I'm sure that prediction is going to be very accurate because I didn't even notice that until you mentioned it. Um, but yeah, we'll go. I'll go ahead and since we agree on that, we can go ahead and move to. I'll do Gen 8, I guess. I
Okay.
played through Sword and Shield. I played through Sword and Shield not too long ago. I didn't play it on launch. I think I played it like a year after. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, just doing those three starters. I played through with Score Bunny, and I gotta say, it stays a rabbit.
Hmm.
It remains a rabbit throughout. Um, it it was really strong. I think the attack stat was like insane. The attack and speed was really high for her. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, it was really good when I used her. So I definitely put her in. Uh, I'll stick her in A tier, like mid A tier, probably up
Okay.
before Torchic and Totodile. Just
Okay.
because like of how strong it was for me personally. Um, and in terms of the other ones, so Sobble, is that how you pronounce
Yeah.
the water type one? That one, I th I thought the final evolution looked really goofy. It was like really tall and skinny, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's like a bipedal lizard that has these really weird like noodle arms.
Yes, I remember that. So, um, without knowing anything about its stats, uh, like specifically, I know I never really had any trouble like whenever I faced him. I'm gonna stick him in D because I gotta hate on that third evolution. It looks goofy, like it looks really goofy compared to what it is now. And then the final one, Grookey.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, so. He is strong from what I've experienced. I remember facing him a few times and struggling, of course, with his Dynamax and Final Evo. So his design is really cool. I mean, he remains a monkey. He doesn't do what all these people at the on D tier did. All these Pokemon on D tier did. He remains a monkey. You know, he starts playing the drums or something. So I think that's pretty cool. Um, just because it's Gen 8 and he looks so new, I'm gonna put him in A tier. Eight low A tier, I guess. And I know people are probably gonna hate me for that because I know he's like the preferred starter for most, I think.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he's good, but just because he's Gen 8, the design's so new, like it doesn't look like the OG classic, like Gen 1 through 4.
Yeah, so when I first saw these, to be honest, I was like, these are Digimon. These are not Pokemon. Especially Score Bunny. I was like, this is a Digimon. So,
Hmm.
um, what really like makes Score Bunny and Grookey better than Sobble? Well, there are a lot of things that make them way better than Sobble, but
Hmm.
specifically the hidden ability. So Libero for Score Bunny is just broken, and then the Grassy Surge for Rillaboom is also broken, especially when you give them Grassy Glide, because then it becomes like a priority move. I
Hmm.
did play through Shield with Grookey, and I think both of those Pokemon are pretty strong. I do prefer Grookey to Score Bunny, but I don't know that I would put Grookey in S because, like you said, it's really new. And I
Hmm.
didn't watch the anime. I haven't watched it in a long time, so I don't have that much nostalgia for them.
Yeah.
I just think they look like Digimon, and I think Sobble is like an easy throwaway for me. I don't. There are so many good water types in that game that I could care less.
I'm
But
glad we could.
I would definitely put Grookey and Score Bunny probably pretty close to each other. Maybe favor Score Bunny, but they're both in A, so I'm pretty content with that.
Yeah.
So Gen 5, or what's left of it. These are Gen 5, right? Yeah, these are Gen 5.
Yeah.
And we got one Gen 6 and two Gen 2s. So for Gen 5 boys, Snivy is going right to D.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
care about Snivy. Like Snivy's,
Protest.
I actually would say that Snivy as like a starter looks okay, but by
Hmm.
the time it becomes superior, I'm like, oh, go away.
Exactly.
So Snivy's bad, and then Oshawott, because of the Hisuian form, because of Legends Arceus, I almost want to put it in C, but I still
Hmm.
don't think Oshawott is extremely attractive to me in any way. Maybe it's something that I have against water starters, generally speaking, but even though it's funny because we keep becoming upset over Pokemon being bipedal, and this is the one that they left on all fours. But it's
True.
like I almost wish they didn't. I almost wish it was bipedal because the
Hmm.
second stage or the first stage evolution was bipedal and it was pretty cool. Duat. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, this is where I would put him. I would leave or Oshawott at a C because it's just kind of meh and forgettable. And then Snivy, I just everything after Snivy I hated.
Yeah, Snivy was just a dishonor to Pokemon in general. I mean, I think she or they deserve to stay on D tier for as long as it requires. But
This would
yeah,
be the
they're not.
order that I would do. I would do Sobble and then Snivy and then Poplio and then Chespin.
That's agreeable. That's agreeable. And Oshawott, I mean, I don't know. I think I played through Black or Black 2
Mhm.
with Oshawott, and I mean, like, I thought it was cool. I thought it was they gave him like his own moves where he takes the shells off his body and throws them or whatever. Um, that's like very specific to him, which I thought was cool. Uh, the the newest form in Legends Arceus, don't really have or Legends Arceus, I don't really have any opinion on it. I mean, it looked meh as you said, and like most, yeah, the second evolution looked pretty good, and then it kind of failed from there. So yeah, he's pretty meh. He can stay in C.
We'll do this. This will be kind of entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm probably spelling this wrong. So
Uh-huh.
we're changing the tiers slightly. So Oshawott I'm throwing in B, which is kind of like our meh tier. And I
Yeah.
changed Finnegan's tier to Finnegan because I think he deserves his own tier of like what are you? Like kind of what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like
Definitely.
you're not detestable, but I also don't feel like you're meh. You're just kind of your own thing. Um
If there was a like Area 51 level of the tier, that's where he should go because like I don't know what they were trying to do. He pulls out a wand, like come on.
Um, so who I did those right. So it's your turn. So you either got a Gen Sixer or you got the two Gen twos left.
All right, I'll do the Gen 6. So, uh, shoot, what's the Greninja?
Yeah,
Yes,
Froakie evolves into
Froakie.
Greninja. Yep.
Yes. So Greninja, for some reason, Pokemon decided to favor. And
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure the reason is adequate, and that reason being Ash had one, so let's favor him and give him his own form. And if you've watched the anime, I think I don't think they do it in the games, but there's like an Ash variation of Greninja, I believe, that looks really whack. But um, yeah, in the end, I mean, he's consistent. Not that it really matters. He stays on all fours, remains a frog, and becomes pretty badass in my opinion. Um, I'd definitely have to put him just because I haven't just because it's Gen 6. Like I definitely have to put him at like high B or very low A. That just being because it's Gen 6, but I do think his design is looks relatively good. Um, I don't remember him having a Mega Evolution. I don't remember his Mega Evolution. Let me
Mhm.
look up a picture of it. But
No, I think it's just Ash Greninja was the only
oh
form.
really? Oh okay. But yeah, I think he can remain at low A, and then I'll if you have any arguments, he can stay and I'll let you do the next two.
Yeah, so Greninja is one of these Pokemon where Nintendo was like, this is our cash cow for this next generation of fans. Like we're going to
Yeah.
milk this Pokemon for everything it's worth. We're going to give them to Ash. We're going to give them special forms. Um, So I know that it applies to Charmander as well because I know Charizard falls into the same family, but these
Hmm.
Pokemon where people are like obsessed with them and they're like
Hmm.
their favorite Pokemon, sometimes it annoys me a bit. And that's the case
Hmm.
with Greninja, where like
Yeah,
Greninja is just too
that's
cool
true.
for school. And that's what I
Hmm.
don't like about him. So the only reason I'm going to leave him at the bottom of A is because statistically it's really, really fast, really strong ability. Water Dart, great typing. You can change his typing with his ability. He does
Hmm.
a lot of stuff competitively. They even had to ban him because he was too good. But I still have something against him, and it's because he's too cool. But
Yeah.
don't touch my Charmander.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, I think he appropriately sits at the bottom of A. Um,
Definitely.
Chikorita is a really weird one for me. I'd almost put it. I don't. So Chikorita is hard because I love Chikorita from a nostalgic perspective, but nothing else about it is good. Um, I
Yeah.
have to throw Chikorita in the meh tier with the other meh Pokemon
Hmm.
because as far as nostalgia, I love Ash's Chikorita, but it's a support tank Pokemon with not a great move set. It's
Hmm.
a tree that grew into a bigger tree that grew into a bigger tree with a
Yeah.
big flower wrapped around its throat. It's just, I'm sorry, but that's as good as it gets, and it only gets B or it only gets the meh tier because of the nostalgia. Cyndaquil, I would almost do the same. I'm tempted to put him at the top of B, but because he got an alternate form in Legends Arceus, I think I'm going to throw him kind of in the Greninja zone. I almost like him a little bit better than Greninja, so like bottom of the A tier. It's really fast. It's a good typing. It's a good offensive typing. It's got really high special attack. He got an alternate typing in the new game, so he's got two different evolutions.
Hmm.
The Hisuian form of Typhlosion's ghost typing, which is a little weird to look at, but it's pretty cool. And kind of similar with Greninja, like it's a popular Pokemon, and I'm not on that hype train. So this is where I would throw them, but I'm excited to hear your opinions.
I mean, um, Chikorita, I definitely think should remain there because it's like in from my perspective, like it's the most meh, like
Mhm.
you said, to use that expression, it's just very meh, like uh basic design throughout. I don't really have any nostalgia with the Pokemon itself because once again in that gen I think it was more of a like, okay, definitely not that one. Let me look at these other two. So I mean, B is definitely good. Like the bottom of B I think is definitely good for Chikorita.
Mhm.
And then Cyndaquil, I definitely agree that he's better than Froakie, but Tepig is not better than him, or like he's not on the same level with Tepig
Mhm.
because just because of the forms he's received, like um, he looks good. I like his initial starter. Then the second evolution gets a little rough. I don't like the Mohawk, but then it kind of gets back to where it's supposed to be. So yeah, I like the third evolution for him, and would definitely keep him above Froakie.
So before we solidify and lock this in as the official Pokemon starter tier
Hmm.
list that everyone should respect and acknowledge as accurate,
Yeah.
I want to like quickly look over these and kind of structure them. I mean, I would do this. I would put these two kind of at the top. I mean, all three of these are here. It's weird to rank Mudkip above Charmander, but I think for the sake of like the meme, like, do you like Mudkips? I think he has to be there. I would definitely put these three above the Gen 4 guys. I think Chimchar is better than Turtwig. And this remains to be seen, but I see a lot of potential. For the A tier, very similarly, I would put Totodile here. I think Rowlet
Hmm.
might beat Totodile out a little bit. These two are fine. For the potential, Sprigatito can be here. These are good. For the med tier, Chikorita should be at the bottom. These are fine. I think I might do this and put Piplup ahead of
Oh,
Litten.
definitely.
Um, these are good. Finnegan is whatever it is. And then I think I already ordered these. Chespin,
Yeah.
definitively the worst Pokemon starter of all time. Poplio, a close second. So,
In terms of like very specifics, like let's just say like me just taking a gander at this tier list, the only thing I would move personally, and this is just due to looks and nostalgia,
mhm.
I'd probably take Piplup as I don't like Empoleon, it's still a respectable design per se.
Mm-hmm.
So I would move him to the top of B tier.
Okay.
Just because, like you said, what was it? Is it Water and Steel? Like that pretty unique typing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely think he deserves to be ahead of Tepig, most importantly. And then the only thing I would change other, uh, other than that is on S tier. I would put, I'd probably put Squirtle at the back just because, in front of, the Gen 9 Pokemon. But yeah, I mean, in terms of the Gen 1 starters, I feel like he was the least popular in my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And Gen 4 is really where my heart's set at. So I would put them just a tad bit in front of Blastoise from a design aspect
Okay.
and nostalgia. Yeah.
So for definitive tier list in the S tier / God tier, we have Mudkip, Charmander, Bulbasaur, Chimchar, Turtwig, Squirtle, Fuecoco. A tier, we have Rowlet, Totodile, Scorbunny, Torchic, Sprigatito, Grookey, Cyndaquil, Froakie. Med tier, B tier, we have Piplup, Tepig, Trico, Litten, Quaxley, Oshawott, Chikorita. Finnegan is Finnegan. And then for the really bad ones, we have Sobble, Snivy, Popplio, and Chespin. I think that's it.
Yes. The D tier looks very ideal.
All right, I'm going to jump back over so we can go ahead and come into the end here and kind of wrap things.
All right.
That was fun. I was going to do another tier list, but we'll save it for another episode. We'll do kind of ranking the games, the mainline or main series games. I think would be a lot of fun.